Dr. Sudarshan. For most of you probably know Dr. Sudarshan, I've heard him before. He's a social worker, tribal rights activist, and a medical doctor. He founded Karuna Trust, which is in the BR Hills in Mysore. And he has done a lot of work in the area of public-private partnership, meaning actually implementing and running institutions in that mode. He was a member and chairperson of the Karnataka government's Task Force on Health and Family Welfare, and has been speaking a great deal on corruption in public health systems. Dr. Sudarshan.
Thank you. I have about 40 slides. I will go fast, and the slides will be with you. I will not go into the details. I will be talking on two aspects. One on the experience of how we utilize the evidence in policy making as a chairman of the task force in Karnataka. Secondly, on the governance issues based on my experience in Lokayukta. A task force was formed by the Chief Minister in 2000. We were asked to look at the entire health sector in Karnataka and make concrete recommendations. But we were also asked to monitor the implementation of those recommendations. Dr. Thelma Narayan was a member. 50% of the members were from civil society, 50% from the government. Mainly it was equity, quality. Initially we said equity and quality, but we later added integrity that because of the corruption issues. And the path was to revamp the organizational structure and capacity building. Now the process is very important for me, the process we followed in preparing the report and the implementation. It was participatory in nature. We had 59 meetings, formed subgroups, extensive consultations were held with the various government officials, also with the professional bodies, voluntary organizations, national institutes, several stakeholders, interacted with the elected representatives, MLAs, MPs, MLCs, Zilla Panchayat presidents, officials from outside the health sector. I think extensive field visits. I have a unique experience of visiting in Karnataka more than 1,200 primary health centers, all CHCs, all taluka hospitals, district hospitals, and medical colleges. And then we conducted 9 research studies based on whatever the gaps were. At that time, unfortunately, there were no health system research studies were not available in Karnataka or for the country as such. So these were the important 9. Some of the researchers are here. We had very limited budget. Entire task force budget for 3 years was about 8 lakhs of rupees. So with that, I worked under for as the chairman. So with that limited resources, we did this evidence. We first looked at the strengths and achievements, and then we gave an interim report. And finally, we talked about the equity in healthcare. We found the coastal Karnataka is good in health, whereas the Hyderabad Karnataka was C category districts. At that time, Nanjundappa committee also came out with what they found is we need to plan taluka wise. There are bad talukas in so-called good districts, and there are also good talukas in backward districts. So I think taluka wise planning is important. We looked at the quality in healthcare. We identified 12 major issues of concern, and as corruption is at the top of the list. I will not go into the other details. We also looked at health system management. What should be the organizational structure at the PHC level, at the district level, and overall there were different departments which were not even connected with each other. So medical education, where it should be as part of the overall health, and we gave the suggestions to improve it. And we also gave a draft health policy which was finally accepted. When we did, now coming to what I want to say is we are talking about evidence-based policy making, but when there is not enough evidence developed, it's for various reasons. Maybe the research importance given by the government is very less. Karnataka has no research wing at all officially by the government. Also, the researchers are doing it in isolation, not influencing the policy. Whatever may be the reason, with limited research, I don't think tomorrow if we want to have the UHC in Karnataka, we can depend entirely on evidence-based policy making. So I would put, or sometimes evidences which are very micro, very reductionist approach, which are not relevant to the overall health system. There are a lot of junk research also going on. So to get the evidence from the research itself is extremely difficult. So I would say the process is important. That's where the wisdom of the people, the bureaucrats are moving and consulting all the stakeholders. That wisdom is also very important. I would also include that as evidence rather than developing on the conventional evidence alone. Now, when we found corruption as a major issue, the Justice Venkatachala had taken charge and Lokayukta, and I gave him a copy. He said, you identified corruption as a major issue, why don't you help me? So I was made the vigilance director to look at corruption in the health sector, and I worked, and this was the epidemic of corruption in drugs control department. I'll leave the slides with you. This is the cartel. It took me 2 years to draft this. Where are the loopholes and how it can be remedied? Corruption in drugs procurement. This is a drug scam, the whole mafia, how it operates, and corruption in procurement of equipment, corruption in the hospitals, various for the ward services, corruption by the various implementers, corruption in administration, corruption in medical education, and we also found corruption in private health sector. So definitely that's an important issue which we need to understand. The corruption is not exclusive to public sector, it's also in the private sector. And I also visited the Independent Commission Against Corruption in Hong Kong. What they had found, the red line is the public corruption which was coming down, but they found the private sector corruption increasing. This was in 2006, so they were worried about how to control that. So I think India is also in that phase. We need to look at corruption in the private sector too. Now, this is a very important issue. We made some changes in the health system to prevent corruption. Transparency, accountability mechanisms, e-governance, e-procurement. Today, drug procurement is through e-procurement. I think that has made a lot of changes in the overall corruption in procurement of drugs. Integrity Pact, we called all the manufacturers of drugs and equipment, had dialogue with them. Next year, we will ensure that there won't be any corruption in the system. So they brought down the prices by 50%. So this is a simple tool of Integrity Pact which can transform. Transfer Policy and Act, which has been now implemented through counseling. Corruption by transfers is come down drastically. Performance appraisal, increase leadership training. And I think this is where leadership training, we always talk about only the lower cadre. I think we need to talk about training the health minister himself. I don't think anybody has attempted to train people, health ministers, to do good governance. We talk only at Panchayat Raj institutions and their governance and how to empower them. And nobody talks about empowering the health ministers themselves. I think they need orientation. So that's very important. In Karnataka, we have enough evidence to show if there is a good health minister, there's a good principal secretary of health, how transformation can happen. We have evidence, but we don't have evidence in terms of concrete evidence. No research has been done. I think this is a good so we need to take up a study in Karnataka. Last 3 years, there seems to be a good governance and how it has transformed the overall health indicators. Advocacy and lobbying for good governance. What I mean to say is I still remember we told the SM Krishna at that time, put a good health minister, don't make money from the health sector. So a good health minister who doesn't want to make money. And here I should say Sri Ramulu is one of the good ministers. Though he is notorious for the environmental issues, he didn't want money from the drugs and equipment. That was a very small amount for him. He was traveling in a helicopter. So either have a rich health minister who doesn't want money from the drugs and equipment. So we need to have some sort of advocacy to have good ministers. Community monitoring, we have done a lot of work with IPH and several others. I'm also a member of the AGCA. I think the tools, community monitoring for the good governance at the grassroots level is very, very important. Lack of time, I will not go into those details. I think these are some of the tools which we can to prevent corruption. To summarize, mere technological packages can improve health outcomes marginally. Either institutional deliveries or incentives, JSY, or any of those IMNCI, World Bank, WHO, UNICEF packages, you will give 1 to 2% better health outcomes. But if you have good governance, you'll have quantum jump in health outcomes. I think we need to develop, I am convinced about it, we need to, but there is no hardcore evidence, so-called evidence in the research angle. So if you have good minister, good bureaucrat, and down the line, good Panchayat Raj system, empowered Panchayat Raj system, how it can bring about changes. Thank you.
Thank you very much.